Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Stefano, and I will be your host for today. So, as usual, before jumping right into today's topic, which is hosting and domains, we're just going to be waiting for one, maybe two more minutes to give everyone the chance of joining in and tuning. So, you should find a chat system on the right side of your screen if you're already following, which should allow you to chat with other users and with me as well. So if you have the chance of just using that chat system right now to let me know if you can hear and see me just fine, better see the software. Just let me know, don't be shy. I'm getting a yes, okay. I think that is referring to the audio and video stream. Hello from Dublin, all okay. Okay, that's great to hear. Okay. Let's just wait a little bit longer. Hello, everything okay from Germany? Hello to you too. Okay, I think the audio is definitely fine then. Just to be clear, what you are seeing right now on screen is just the step number 5 of the software. I'm not going to be interacting with this window for a while. So if you see the image just being there still, that's completely normal. We will be discussing a bit about the more theoretical parts of hosting and domains first, and then we'll go right into the software. Okay, so I think we are about good to go. Yeah. Okay, I think we can start. So again, for today's webinar, we are going to be talking about hosting and domains. So first of all, in case some of you don't really know what a hosting is, what a web space is, or perhaps what a domain is, I would like to start with a very brief introduction and explanation about what all of these terms mean. So let's start with hosting space. Hosting space is essentially some sort of computer. You can think of it like some sort of computer. Also, just to be clear, I'm going to be providing a very generic explanation. I don't want to get too technical with it, so that everybody can get a better understanding of how things work when we're talking about websites. So yeah, as I was saying, a hosting space, you could think of it like some sort of computer, which is located somewhere, some city, some country, where all of your website files are stored once you upload them to the internet. The hosting space is this kind of computer, which is specifically set up to be connected to the network at all times, which is hosting your website files. And it also allows visitors to enter your website name and as a result get your web page to consult and to view. A different way to think about the hosting space could be if you just imagine a building. You imagine a building, and the building would be your hosting space or your hosting company. Then you have your own apartment, which is a specific section of this building which represent your very own hosting space, which is just a fraction of the entire hosting space, which is the building again. Then you have your address. So your address could be considered as your domain. So you have your address or your domain that every user knows and that they can use to reach your website or your apartment, which is again just a section of the hosting page, which is the entire building. So what happens essentially is that you go to the hosting company of your choice, you rent out an hosting space, which is again only the computer space needed to upload your files. And then you also need to purchase a domain, which is the name of your website or your address, as we were discussing before. So it's very important to understand that the hosting space and the domain are two very separate entities. And this is also why it may happen to you that you have to purchase only the domain, only the hosting space, sometimes both at once, but it is not necessary for one to exist for the other to be there too. You could also be purchasing a hosting space without a domain, or you could be purchasing a domain without purchasing and hosting space, which would mean that you essentially own the rights to the website name. But if you were to enter the domain onto the browser, you would not get any website in return because the domain is not linked to any real hosting space. So with that out of the way, let's get into Website X5's very own hosting space. So why would you pick Website X5 hosting space when comparing to other hosting spaces? So first of all, if you are a new user in Website X5, you probably know that when you purchase a new license, you also get a free year of hosting space included. This comes with every new license of Evo or Pro in Website X5. So it's already a very good starting point, the fact that for the first year, you can just upload your website online without worrying about having to pay for the hosting space. You also get a very peculiar automatic domain, which is applied to your hosting space immediately, which is very helpful so that you can start testing your website out and you can also share it with other people. But keep in mind that that is not an actual second level domain, which is the kind of domain that we're all used to, like websitex5.com, like apple.com, like youtube.com. That is what is called a second level domain, while the automatic domain that you get when you purchase a license is called a third level domain, which is like your name.websitex5.me. So keep this difference in mind. When you purchase a new license, you get the hosting space with the automatic third level domain, but you still have to purchase a second level domain at a second time should you be interested in doing so. So again, let's go back to why should you be using the hosting space included with Website X5? Well, first of all, the first year is included with any new license. So that's the starting point. Moving on to what the actual hosting space offers, I would now include a web page from our official website right here, so you can get a better view of what I'm discussing here, which is pricing and main features. So with the Evo hosting, of course, you get your hosting space, which is made up of 100 gigabytes of web space. You have the chance of registering one mailbox with your website. So you get access to one included email address that you can generate, which is going to look like, let's assume your website is myname.com. You can generate an email address called, for example, info@mywebsite.com. And you also get one FTP account, which is essentially the account you need to use to be able to connect to your hosting space and upload your files online. You also get the included webmail client to check for email. You get your SSL certificate for improved security of the website. And you also get integrated protection against hackers and most basic protection against let's say the most common internet attacks onto your website, onto your email forms and stuff like that. The Pro hosting is essentially the same performance-wise, but you get 400 more gigabytes of space, so up to 500. And you can also register up to 5 mailboxes compared to the single one you get with the Evo version. Another very important difference, which is not listed here, is the presence of a database. So with the Pro hosting, you also get access Wait, I'm sorry. The database is actually mentioned here. Sorry, my bad. So you also get access to a database which is configured automatically. So there's nothing you need to do manually onto the database. And the reason why it is provided with the Pro version only is because only the Pro version of Website X5 features some kind of functionality which can connect to your database. This is not the case with the Evo version. So there's no need for an Evo website to also have access to a database. So if you're using the Pro hosting, instead, of course, you get both the database and all of the database functionalities like storing orders. If you are building an e-commerce, you get the chance of allowing users to register themselves and to log in to your website. You can also have email forms which store data onto the database instead of simply sending it via email. This is more or less what you get when you are using a database included with the Hosting Space Pro. So these are the main differences between the two kinds of hosting services we provide. But talking about differences with other hosting spaces, I believe the main ones are essentially two. First of all is performance. So when you're purchasing an hosting space with another company, they usually offer different kind of performance levels to host your website. Of course, this was also require you to have a general idea of how much performance really matters and what kind of performance you're looking for according to the website you're building. If you are using the hosting from Website X5 instead, you already get a specific kind of server which is optimized to work flawlessly and with full performance with any website built with Website X5. So it's already tailored to work in the best way possible with websites which are generated by our very own software. And again, it also the second big advantage is that it also comes pre-configured when we're talking database, FTP account. When you purchase an hosting from a different company, there's a good chance you have to create your database manually and also configure it. Also, when you need to export your website online through the software, you need to know what an FTP account is and also other kinds of stuff which are connected to that, which may vary according to the hosting space of your choice. But if you're using the included hosting space, you just boot up Website X5, go to step number 5. You will find that you have a list of all the hosting spaces you have with Website X5. You just select the one you want to export to, and the software takes care of the rest. So it's very, very easy to be able to immediately upload your website online without having to work with FTP accounts, having to go onto the hosting space control panel, try to figure out what data you need, what credentials you need. In some cases, you also have to generate them. All of that stuff is no longer necessary if you're using the included hosting space. So again, this is aimed at performance, simplicity, and of course also to security. So with that out of the way, I can shut this page down and we can move to the software instead. So as I mentioned before, let's assume I've just finished building my website. So I go to step number 5, upload the website to the internet, and I get this little field right here, which says web space list. And as you can see, I already have my hosting space selected. All you need to do right here, in order to have your website correctly uploaded online and ready to be visited by other users, is just to click on the start button right here. We can just click there. You can see that the software performs a few checks. I'm just going to confirm. As you can see, the website is building and uploading all of the files it needs to. And we're online. I'm just going to open up the web page I just uploaded right now for you to see. Here we go. And this is the website I just uploaded at the domain mentioned in the software. As you can see, very, very easy, just a couple of clicks, and your website is online. I'm just gonna stop for a quick second because I think I've seen a question in the chat I wanted to check. So Tom is asking, this means the ownership of this domain would always depend on you. It depends on what you mean by ownership. Once you purchase the domain is owned by you. So there's your name on whatever kind of documents there is, in case somebody needs to know who owns the domain. You purchase the domain, you are the owner of the domain. The only role of Incomedia in this is that Incomedia is the manager of your domain and your hosting space. This does not mean that Incomedia owns the domain name. If for any reason you want to take your domain, which you previously registered with the Incomedia, and you want to take it somewhere else, you can do so at any time. Just like you can purchase the domain on any other hosting company and then move it to us. We would only be managing the domain, but we are not owner of the domain you registered. Let's see. I can see another question which says, is transferring a domain and hosting from another provider to website X5 a simple task? Well, I sure think it is, because as far as domain transfer goes, all you need to do is start a procedure, which I am going to be showing in a second, where you essentially tell us what your domain is, and the entire transfer procedure for the domain is automatic. So all you need to do is provide us with the domain name you want to transfer. And assuming your original domain provider is not blocking the domain in any way, in which case you would have to contact your domain manager in that precise moment. The entire procedure for the domain transfer is automatic. For transferring the website itself is not really an issue, because you have no need of transferring the files physically from the other hosting space to ours. You can just boot up the software and upload the entire website anew, and that's it. All of the files will be uploaded from the software to our hosting space, thus taking care of the entire work. Okay, so that being said, what I've just shown you is how easy it is and how quickly it is to upload your website online. What I'm going to be showing you now is where and how to handle your domains and your hosting spaces on your own help center profile page. So I'm going to show you my page right here. You should be seeing right now. You can see that I have a few expired hosting spaces, but those don't really matter now. This is the one that we're going to analyze right now. So let's assume this is the first time you're entering your web hosting section on the Help Center. Of course, you would not be finding any option here. All you would see is the button at the bottom right here, which says Buy the Hosting Pro. This says Buy the Hosting Pro because I have a Pro license. But if you only own an Evo license, you would get Buy the Hosting Evo instead, with, of course, the price difference as well. So in this case, this button is used if you want to purchase more than a single hosting space compared to the one you would normally get with your license. So the one I have right here, which is my currently active one, as it says right here, it's the one included with my license. So I didn't have to pay anything more than the cost of the software to enable this for the first year. I'm only going to have to pay for the hosting space starting from the second year, assuming I want to keep it active. If I don't want to keep this active and I just decide not to renew it, the hosting space will expire automatically. It will not auto-renew for you. You always have to renew this manually. So again, you could either find an option right here, which is enabled because you got a new hosting space from your license, or you can purchase a new one right here. You just click on this. The website is going to ask you if you also want to purchase a domain immediately, or if you don't want to purchase a domain as soon as you are purchasing the hosting space. You can just click right here and says skip this step, and you are not going to be purchasing a domain together with the hosting space. You can also just purchase the hosting space. If I just click here and I go forward with the procedure, I press on skip this step, the website would essentially be asking me for the payment data so that I can pay for the order. And then it usually takes up to 1 day maximum. Your new hosting space will be enabled. So it's also very, very easy to create your first hosting space in case you don't have one included with your license. Now, assuming you already activated your hosting space like I'm showing here, you would get this little window which mentions when the web space is going to expire. Then you have a buy domain option, which we will be checking out later, and an access button here. So if I just click on the access button, a new window opens, which shows you the control panel for your hosting space. Right here, there's a few things you can do. I'm sorry about this being in Italian. I had a little trouble changing the language, so I'm just gonna tell you what this means. So right here, it says domain, and this button right here allows you to link a domain to your hosting space in case you don't have any. Right now, I don't have any. I only have the default that you can see here. But if I wanted to connect a new domain to my hosting space, I would just click here and complete the procedure. In the email section right here is where it allows you to create emails. Keep in mind that you can only, just like it says here, you can only create email addresses for your website once you linked a domain to your hosting space. If you did not yet link a second level domain to your hosting space, you cannot create any email. Creating an email is extremely simple. You just choose the email name, you just choose the password, and that's it. Once you create your first email, you go right here. You would find a button that allows you to enter the emailing space where you can send emails or check emails you received onto the email address you just generated. Then you also have the FTP and database sections, which it says right here, manage FTP or manage database. If you click right here, you would simply be getting all of the data to connect to your FTP account. Again, this is not necessary if you are uploading through Website X5 because this is all automatically integrated into the software. But let's just assume you want to connect from a different kind of software, like maybe some of you know FileZilla, which is one of the most famous FTP clients to connect to a hosting space externally. If you are in need of the data to connect with such a software, you would find all the data here. And same goes for the database. From the dashboard, you can also click on Access here, which allows you to check the inside of your database. Again, in most cases, this is not something you are really going to be doing because the database is managed entirely by the software automatically. But if you're maybe a more advanced user and you want to apply some changes, you want to change something manually onto the database, you still have the chance of just go and do so. This is usually not recommended because the software should be taking care of everything automatically. But of course, some advanced user might want to dig deeper into this and check what the database actually looks like when they are working with the software. So with this taken care of, the last part I want to show you is the buy domain option. So just for a quick summary, we talked about purchasing the license, getting the hosting space included with the license, visiting your web hosting page onto your Hub Center profile, enabling it or purchasing a new one, and then ending up in this situation where you have a automatic third level domain linked to your hosting space. You have already uploaded your website online through the software. So you're almost good to go. Let's say your website is ready to be published. The only thing that's missing is the domain name. There's a few ways that you can get a domain name for your website. The first one, of course, would be to just straight up click on buy domain and insert a new domain name right here, which was never registered before online. Then you click on search, and the software is going, the website is going to check whether the domain is already registered online or if it's a new domain name. Assuming it's a new domain name, It's just going to allow you to pay for it and register it. The website is going to be taking care of this automatically. So the procedure to register a domain, again, doesn't take very long, maybe up to a day. And then the domain gets automatically linked to your hosting space. All of the security certificates get generated. And yeah, again, in about 1 day time, you have your website ready to be used with the domain name you chose. Assuming the domain name is already registered, maybe by you on a different hosting company, the software is going to give you the chance of transferring the domain from the other hosting company to Incomedia. If that is the case, all you need from your previous hosting company is one particular code that the other company must provide to you, and that you will need to specify during this procedure, which is needed for Incomedia to know that you are the rightful owner of that domain name. Once you provide the domain name you want to register and that transfer code, again, the procedure is fully automatic. It will take a little longer to transfer the domain. If it only takes about 1 day for a new domain to be registered, it can take up to 3-4 days maybe for a domain to be transferred. So keep in mind that if you choose to move a domain from a different hosting to ours, it's going to take a little longer to do. Okay, so that being said, I think I've talked about all I want to specify about this topic today. We looked at how websites work, what a hosting space is, what a domain is, how to purchase a hosting space, how to purchase a domain, how to create your domain emails. Yeah, I think that's about it. So before closing today's webinar, I would just like to check if any of you have any outstanding questions that I can maybe answer, something that I can maybe clarify if perhaps I wasn't clear while I was explaining this, or if maybe you have any kind of question about some topic that I didn't really go too much into. Let's just wait a couple minutes to see if any question pops up. No question asked just means that I've been extremely clear. So I'm very glad for that. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing any question. Everything was really clear. Okay, that's good to hear. All right, since I'm seeing no further questions, I think this is as good a place as any to end the webinar today. Again, should any question pop up in your mind at a later time, don't worry. If you want to check this webinar again, you will find it on our YouTube channel. So in case you didn't get the chance to follow the entire webinar with me now, you can just replay it later. And again, if you have any new questions, you can just contact either me or any of my colleagues on our many channels, like via email on sales.incomedia.eu or via the help center. If you want, we also have our offices phone numbers you can find on our official website you can use to contact us. Yeah, we're always ready to answer any kind of doubt or question you might have about the entire hosting space matter. So again, thank you for following us today. And I guess I will see you on the next webinar. Thank you. And again, have a good day.